The Cup Series off weekend has come to a close, but that doesn't mean there is any shortage of racing action or controversy during this weekend with the Xfinity Series on Saturday and the Truck Series on Sunday. So, Xfinity Series from Road America on Saturday. I didn't get to watch the race, however, I have seen some different parts of it, and I have seen the finishing results. Justin Allgaier won his 4th race of the season, 2nd in a row on the road. Of course, he's definitely these last few weeks emerged as a title contender, as maybe a Final Four candidate, along with Christopher Bell. They both have 4 wins. Obviously, they're going to be pretty big favorites considering they have a bunch of playoff points from their wins and their stage wins and whatnot. I think Bell has 5 more playoff points than Justin because of course, the 7's Dover win was encumbered. But otherwise, I heard it wasn't really a great race, and I heard it wasn't really a bad race either. I heard it was kind of like one of those in the middle where you could rank it like a 5 or a 6. Obviously, that track's a little bit hard to pass at. It's a lot more narrow than some of the other road courses, and it's a lot longer. And I feel like that's kind of one of the harder tracks to pass at. But so it's getting wild in the Xfinity Series. More importantly, because that regular season points battle, it's overlooked a lot, but it's coming down to it. Justin Allgaier, Christopher Bell, Elliott Sadler, and Cole Custer are all within 15 points, I believe, of each other for that regular season points battle. Remember, that pays off playoff points. So I think it's like 15 points or something if you win that regular season title or something like that. And that could be really big for Allgaier, who is missing a few playoff points from his win. It would be big for him to try and get those back. Could be big for Sadler or Custer, who only have maybe a stage win or 2 or 3 to get some more points. And then I think Hemrick's like 33 back. He could still pounce if those 4 maybe don't do as well and he wins a race or something. It's going to be pretty intense heading down to these final few races for the playoffs, because that those are some points that you want. And of course, they're all so close together. I think Allgaier only has a 5-point advantage over Bell because Bell had his bad day. Allgaier won. And Sadler and Custer, I think they're like 13, 14, 12 points back. So it's going to be close there. And I think Hemrick's like 33 back. But once again, still within striking distance. It's going to be interesting between those 4 and then Hemrick, the long shot for that. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But the big story was Sunday, the playoff opener for the Truck Series at Mosport, Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Did not disappoint once again. So stage 1 was going by. Ben Rhodes started on pole. He held off Noah Gragson for the longest time. Gragson finally got by him down the long straightaway where he could use the draft in these trucks. They're so the spoilers are so big. The draft means so much down that long straightaway. Gragson got the draft and got by Rhodes, ended up winning stage 1. Stage 2 more of the same. Gragson won in a more dominating fashion. And then stage 3 comes along. And my oh my, there's pit strategy all over the place and whatnot. There at one point, I think it was at the end of stage 2, someone had laid oil down all around the racetrack, and it caused chaos. I mean, there was oil everywhere. So they took so long for that. I remember sitting there for, I felt like 30, and it felt like an hour, honestly. It was kind of, I don't know, 30 minutes, and they didn't red flag it. I feel like they should red flagged it, because they spent a lot of laps cleaning that up. And then there was some pit strategy. So the drivers that stayed out at the end of stage 2, they had to come down pit road, while some came down at a caution with I think it was about 10 laps to go in stage 2. Some drivers came down then. Some drivers, like Todd Gilliland, came down with 2 to go in stage 2 because Gilliland was so close to the 18, he could come down with 2 to go and be there before pits or close. I think Rhodes came down as well with 2 laps to go. Or 3 to go in the stage. Yeah, he came down 1 lap sooner. So on the restart for the stage, it was craziness because Gragson was back in about 10th, and you had some drivers up towards the front like Sauter, who came down with about 10 to go in stage 2. Then you had drivers like Gilliland and Rhodes, who came down at the end of stage 2, but before the caution for stage 2. So a lot was happening there. But basically what happened was, on the break, Gilliland had one of the better trucks all day. We kind of saw that as he was marching through the field. Gragson maybe had the best truck. Gilliland was a very close second. If not, they were pretty equal in how their trucks were. But Gilliland got away, got a nice break to get away, as I think he was about 3rd when another yellow came out as trucks were trying to battle through the field. I think it was Austin Wayne Self was pushing Friesen. Like, not like pushing him as in bumping. I think he was like hitting him in the side, and somehow they all got together and the 22 spun around. They called a caution for that. So that was another restart. Gragson was a little bit further forward. Gilliland from third, I think it was third or fourth. He got a good jump, and he got out to the race lead shortly thereafter. Gragson was marching his way through the field, but he was, there was a lot happening there towards the end. You had teammates making contact. Rhodes kamikazed on Grant Infinger in one of the corners and sent that 98, out. All was happening there, and then Gragson took advantage of that and went and made moves on both of them. And at some point, I think Gragson messed up on a move that he was making, made contact with. I think it might have been Rhodes or it might have been Sauter. Made contact with whoever he was battling with, and then Haley got by, and then Gragson got back to second. And it looked like it was all over, though. Gragson got to second, but he was 3.5 seconds back at Gilliland. Looked like he had used his stuff up, and Gilliland was starting to pull away as well. He was starting to gap him just a little by little every single lap. The gap was up to about 4 seconds. And with 6 to go, really big issues in the Fox camp. I think from what I heard, there was some sort of issue with their power, something like generator or whatever, and it kind of affected everything. The screen went gray with about 6 to go, and we have to go to a commercial break. Like, it wasn't like they planned to go to a commercial. They literally, like, in a panic, we have to go to commercial, we'll be right back. They left, and they never really came back until a yellow came out. So basically what happened then was that happened. Something with their power, something with their generator, it went out, and so they had to go to a commercial. And they couldn't go side by side either because they didn't have any of the cameras up and functioning at that time. So everyone's wondering, they're going to miss the finish. There's only 6 laps to go. They still haven't come back. I'm just looking through Twitter. All I see is caution is out at Mosport. That's from like Chris Knight, I think it was. And I was like, what happened? like what happened? Was this all this time because like no one on Twitter said the cause for the caution. And I'm like, was Fox like, we're going to miss this. We need something to we need a caution so that this can, so that we could get our issues figured out. But I think it ended up being the 22 spun out. So I think that was the caution. He hit the wall, he crashed or something in one of the turns. Obviously, there's no footage of it. The cameras weren't up and running. They fortunately come back. That wasn't the only bad thing that Fox did, though. They missed a whole restart. I think it was like the stage 3 restart. They missed it completely by like half a lap, which was pretty pathetic in my opinion. Fox has just not been great lately. And of course, the move to NBC, it just shows how much worse Fox has been. I mean, we've moved to NBC, and we've been praising NBC, but I don't think we've been praising them enough because, my gosh, Fox really just did horrible, and they've been doing horrible this whole truck season. But anyway, so that sets up a green-white checker restart. If you're not familiar with Mosport and the truck series, that is just about a bad combination. A restart with about 2 to go, an overtime restart, So the first season they went there, Chase Elliott kamikaze tied Dillon in the final corner and wrecked him, spun him out. Obviously, Chase was never going to make the corner the way he was going. 2014 was the only clean finish with people battling, actually. Herman Quiroga was leading. Blaney did a nice little crossover. Quiroga kind of took a defensive line to the corner, and then Blaney kind of did a crossover, went to the inside, and out-dragged him to the finish line. Absolutely clean. 2015 was probably the most tame finish of them all because Eric Jones was ahead and won with no contest. In 2016, Nemechek did his little bump to Custer, then bumped him again, then him into the grass, and then pinned him against the wall. Whether that was all intentional or not. And then last season, 2017, Cindric dumped Gralla, and I think it was turn 5. Mosport and finishes have been pretty crazy over the past, and this one, not any different. So on the restart, Gillen got a great jump, got away, and then what so many leaders have done, Custer did the same thing in 2016. You get out front, and they have played it cautious while the driver in second was pushing, and the driver in second catches up. So Gragson is catching up at the white flag. He's there on the white flag now. Where Cindric dumped Gralla last season, he wasn't close enough to do anything there, but he did close in through that corner. Up the straightaways, getting that draft. He's right there to the final few corners. He gets a run through the second to last corner, and everything just breaks out. So Gilliland kind of leaves the bottom lane open so they could get a nice arc into the corner, and Gragson literally throws the truck in there onto the curbing, spins them both out. Remember, those two are Kyle Busch Motorsports teammates, and who else comes through barely with the victory, but Justin Haley comes through and wins at Mosport and advances himself to the round of 6. And this is where I say, NASCAR, your format is really, 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 really stupid. If Gragson thinks that it's better to throw his truck in there on the final corner under his teammate and wrecking them both to get the win to advance to the next round than say either finish second closely or try a bump and run or something. If Gragson thinks my only shot is to throw it in and hope I can win this race to advance, that's when I say, what is this format? Because now this format is encouraging the wrecking of teammates, and that's not really great in my opinion. That's not great. So it's been very debated. Was it dirty? Was it racing? Whose fault was it? Was it Gillen's? Was it Gregson's? So after watching it a few times, this is what I see. Gillen let Gregson get to him, obviously. In his interview, he said, "Never should have let him get to me. I knew that was coming." So basically, in the final corner, Gillen's going to take his normal approach and leaves the bomb open. Gregson sees that and says, "I'm going to throw my truck in there." Gregson throws his truck in there. Gillen shuts the door. They make contact. Gregson goes over the curbs. They hit, and they both spin around. So in my mind, there was no way Gillen was coming out of that corner with the race lead. That is my opinion. Gregson was too close. He had too good of a run that Gillen was screwed either way. It's either he does that and Gregson gets to the inside, and probably if Gillen doesn't shut the door, Gregson beats him to the line. Unless Gregson somehow wrecked himself because he kind of drove it in there. There was no way Gregson was making the corner the angle he was going. Neither was Todd. So, Gillen kind of took a mini defensive, but wasn't really so defensive that he wasn't going to make the corner. Neither was Gregson. Let's just be honest there. There was no way either of them was going to make the corner. So Gillen could have done that, or he could have, say, I don't even know what Gillen could have done there to even win this race. In my mind, Gregson should have taken a completely different approach, which is what Blaney did. Gillen was not going to make that corner. Gregson could have swung out wide, did a crossover there off of the corner, and out-dragged him to the finish line. That seemed like that, or give him a bump. Either way, a bump and run on your teammate is better than wrecking you both, you finishing 9th, and Gillen finishing 11th. In my mind, Gregson should have, if you need to make contact, just give him a bump through the corner, man. Push him wide, push him out, onto the rumble strips, onto the grass a little bit. Don't go spin your teammate out and then spin yourself out in the process. That's just kind of a dirty move, kind of a cheap shot. I mean, it's, I wish I could say otherwise, but I mean, there's so many better approaches to take than that. Either way, Gillen was screwing that final corner. There's no way anyone with the second place truck behind them comes out of that final corner in the race lead, still in the race lead at Mosport. There's no way that ever happens at this racetrack. Because of how slow those final corners are, it really just allows for craziness to happen. And there was no way Gillen was coming out of that corner with the race lead, no matter what he did. He could have given Gregson the bottom lane. Gregson probably would have either passed him, ran him high or something. He could have taken a defensive line. Gregson would have pile driven him like like Nemechek did back in 2016. So I mean, there was really a no-win situation for Gillen there, and that's that's what Mosport is. Most of the times you kind of want to be the one in second because it feels like you're kind of set up to win. But this time, it's the driver the driver in third ended up winning because the front two took themselves out. So, that was a crazy weekend. Next, we got Darlington for Xfinity and Cup throwback. Hopefully, that's going to be a good race. Obviously, Darlington's a track where it eats up the tires, so handling's going to be a big issue there. So, we'll see how that goes. So, we got Darlington, Indy left before the playoffs for Cup. That should be exciting, and don't forget that Xfinity Series title run either, because the regular season championship is going to be pretty close there. So I thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys for the next video.